While working as a professional executive in various companies, both in India and abroad, I found that companies always found themselves in doldrums while trying to achieve their targets. Even a 10% increase in sales turns out to be like reaching the moon. Practically every month, there was a shortfall, thereby causing panic among the sales and marketing team. Companies have been known to adopt various methods to tackle this situation. Most of them just extend the month or the year ending by a few days. So dispatches made during the first 4 or 5 days of the following month or the year are recorded as sales of the current month or year respectively. Some companies resort to creative accounting by overstating their profits or their sales, while a majority just blame it on poor market conditions. I always thought that getting a reasonable increase of 10 to 20% in one's business every year should be automatic. I have really found it very difficult to understand as to why companies have trouble achieving very modest levels of growth in sales and profits. So what do we need to do to achieve consistent higher sales? Based on my experience, we need to build a pipeline of customers on a continuous basis. I call this the theory of pipeline, which suggests that you have to take the following actions to achieve consistent higher sales. 1. Continuously build a pipeline of customers. And 2. Retain your customers. Now let us understand how this theory of pipeline works. My simple theory of pipeline is based on the analogy of a water pipeline. When the pipeline is full of water, water will flow out of the pipeline continuously on a consistent basis. However, when the pipeline does not have enough water, the flow of water will not be consistent and the flow will vary depending upon the amount of water inside the pipeline. Similarly, a company and its salespeople should continuously work towards building a pipeline of customers. If the pipeline is full, sales will increase consistently. This is because some of the customers in the pipeline will buy immediately, some after a few days, some after a few months, and some who will even buy after a couple of years. One of my prospective customers started buying from me after 2 years. If the pipeline is full, customers will keep popping out of it continuously to buy your products and services, resulting in consistent higher sales. Usually, the problem is that a continuous effort is not made to fill the pipeline, and fires have to be put out at the end of every month and at the end of every quarter. We are more concerned about achieving targets rather than taking correct actions to build the pipeline. I have also seen salespeople focusing on 1 or 2 sales prospects with the hope of getting a big order to achieve their sales target. They don't realize that the salespeople of the competitors are also thinking the same. Finally, one of the salesmen will get the order and achieve his target, while the others will miss the target. Theory of pipeline suggests that we should focus on taking correct actions which will fill up your pipeline of customers. As mentioned earlier, if the pipeline of customers is full, customers will keep coming out of the pipeline to buy your products and services, resulting in consistent higher sales. Now you may ask, how do I know that the theory of pipeline works? Fair question. Theory of pipeline has come about as a result of my experience. I have seen it work, and that is why I am sharing the same with you. Let me discuss 2 of my experiences on which my theory of pipeline is based. In 1975, I was working for Escorts Limited, a leading tractor and two-wheeler company at that time, as a management trainee. Escorts was in the process of introducing a new tractor model, and as such, there was a need to quickly liquidate stocks of the old tractor model. A special sales campaign was organized to assist dealers to liquidate their stock of old tractor models quickly. I was sent to assist 5 dealers in Haryana to liquidate their stocks of old model tractors. I made my base in Sirsa, a small town in Haryana state where we had a dealer. After about a week, I found that we were not making much progress. We were just following up with about 45 of the so-called hot prospects every day, hoping that 30 of them will buy our old model tractors and we will be able to liquidate our stock. Every day, we were following up with these customers, and so was the competition. The situation kept bothering me as we were making no headway. Finally, I decided to analyze the situation more seriously. So I went to the dealer and asked him some questions. Our conversation went as follows. My question: how many villages are there in your territory? Dealer's answer: 145. My question: how many villages are these 45 hot prospects from? Dealer's answer: 5. My question: how many of the balance 140 villages do not have an escort tractor or no tractors at all? Dealer's answer: don't know. From the above simple analysis, I realized that we may not be taking the correct action by just concentrating on 5 villages. 45 prospects were being pursued like never before by us as well as the competition. We were ignoring a major part of our market. We were not building our pipeline. We expected to achieve our targets based on the hope that 30 of the 45 hot prospects that we were following up would buy from us and that the competition would let us get these sales very easily. This did not seem like a good strategy to me, considering that we had 140 villages available for us to build our pipeline of customers. So I convinced the dealer to target what I called virgin villages, that is, villages where there were just 1 or 2 tractors or no tractors at all. We achieved tremendous success when we visited these villages. We were not only able to liquidate our stock of old model tractors, but also ended up adding a number of new prospects to our pipeline for the sale of the new model tractor. This incident made me realize that we should always focus on developing our market to fill our pipeline of customers if we want to achieve consistent higher sales. The other experience I had was in 1980. That year, I was sent by Escorts Limited to sell tractors in the state of Bihar. I, along with my boss, Mr. Chopra, did a lot of work to expand and develop the dealer network. For instance, in 9 months, the number of dealers went up by 300%, ineffective dealers were replaced, and the resources available with the dealers in terms of salespeople, motorcycle, and finance went up tremendously. Beginning of the 10th month of my stay in Bihar, as usual, I went to receive my boss at the airport for our regular monthly sales tour. As soon as he saw me, he said without even wishing me, "Avinash, we have been doing a lot of work in Bihar, but where are the sales? How are we going to achieve our targets?" He also informed me that the sales had actually come down from 25 to 20 tractors a month during my time. Till now, I had not worried about sales numbers at all. I believed that we should focus on implementing the right actions and sales would be automatic. The logic behind this belief being that right actions would build a pipeline of customers and sales would be automatic and consistent. But the comments of my boss gave me a jolt. As such, while traveling, we critically reviewed each and every action taken by us. We concluded that not only had we taken all the right actions, but also that the progress made in implementing the various actions was fairly good. However, we could not figure out why the sales were not increasing. Even though disappointed, we both went about doing what we had to do, that is, take necessary actions to develop the market for escort tractors in Bihar and continue to build our pipeline of customers. On the 30th of the same month, I received frantic messages from various sources that I should contact my boss immediately. To tell you the truth, I was a little scared. I actually thought that I had probably lost my job because of my failure to achieve targets. When I called my boss, I was surprised to note that he was very excited. He told me that we had achieved sales of 49 tractors in Bihar that month and that he wanted to touch 50. Ultimately, we sold 51 tractors that month and never looked back. From third position in the market, we became leaders in Bihar. It seems that all the actions we had taken started finally bearing fruit. After that day, we never looked back. Actually, the sales increase should have been gradual instead of this sudden jump that we experienced in Bihar. The sales increase was not the result of some magic or a sales scheme. It was the result of right actions taken by us to build a pipeline of customers. I would like to add here that the best results can only be achieved by an effective method of working. This is what is under our control. We cannot control the end result, that is sales. Sales are the result of actions taken by us. The above two experiences clearly convinced me that if we want to achieve consistent higher sales, we should make continuous effort to build our pipeline of customers. How can we build a pipeline that is full of prospective customers? Very simple. Take regular actions to develop your market or territory. Let us see what are some of the actions that we can take to develop a pipeline of customers. Actually, developing a pipeline of customers is not very difficult. It just requires you to work hard and not take the easy way out. Also, you may have to think a little bit. Let us see how some of the companies have tried to build their pipeline of customers. You can develop new market segments for your products. For instance, insurance companies have started offering insurance cover for weddings and kidnapping. Dana Bank was the first to launch a no-frills savings account for the underprivileged. Hindware launched sanitary wear for kids. You could also develop an underdeveloped market segment for your products. For instance, Maruti targeted school teachers through a special campaign to convince them to buy their cars and roped in 6,500 customers in 6 months. Similarly, Kinetic tried to piggyback on the concept of rent a bike at tourist destinations on an all-India basis. Marketing India as a rain destination to the tourists from Middle East is another excellent example of building a pipeline of customers. Some of the actions I have taken while working with a dealer network are appointing new dealers in unrepresented areas, replacing ineffective dealers with new ones, and increasing resources with the dealer on a regular basis. However, in 1997, I realized I had a hole in my pipeline which was adversely affecting my sales. That year, I lost a customer and discovered a big hole in my pipeline. That is, a hole created by a dissatisfied and lost customer. Every year, I was working hard and finding new customers, but my pipeline was not getting filled. On investigation of my customer data, I found that every year I was losing nearly 50% of my existing customers and gaining nearly 50% of new customers, resulting in status quo. Lost and dissatisfied customers were creating havoc with my sales. I had a big hole in my pipeline. Let me explain how dissatisfied and lost customers create a hole in your pipeline and how it adversely affects your sales with the help of some mathematics. You will agree with me when I say that practically all of us lose customers. How many customers do we lose? One of the companies I worked for in the US was losing nearly 50% of its customers. Also, research shows American companies were losing 50% of their customers in a 5-year period, and that companies in the wireless industry lose 25% of their customers every year. Another study suggests that it is common for businesses to lose 15 to 20% of their customers every year. Yet another study claims that customer dissatisfaction causes on an average 15 to 30% loss of gross annual sales. Analysis of my customer data revealed that I was losing on an average nearly 50% of my customers. I realized that losing customers was the biggest mistake that any business can make, as it adversely affects sales. Taking the above data into consideration, I think we can safely assume that companies on an average lose 25% of their customers every year. It is these lost customers which give sleepless nights to the sales and marketing team as targets become increasingly difficult to meet. Let's find out how. Let us assume that a company has 100 customers in a given year who purchase in equal amounts from it. If the company wants a 10% growth in sales, it will need to have 110 customers next year. As discussed above, the company will lose 25% of its customers, that is 25 customers. The company will be left with only 75 customers. However, the company requires a total of 110 customers to achieve its target. It is obvious that to meet its target increase of 10%, it will have to increase the number of customers from 75 to 110, a nearly 47% jump. The above suggests that in order to increase sales by 10% over that of previous year, a company has to actually increase sales by 47%. This is because, on an average, a company loses 25% of its customers annually. For instance, I lost a customer who was giving me business of rupees 2 million. To arrive at last year's numbers, I had to first find new customers who would give me business worth rupees 2 million. I had to then find additional customers who would give me new business so that I could achieve the increase in sales that I was looking for. Some of you may argue that this estimate of companies losing 25% of their customers is rather high, while others may say that it is quite low. You can replace the 25% with your number and you will arrive at the same conclusion as I have. That is, you actually have to increase sales by a much larger percentage than what you had planned for because of sales loss due to defecting customers. Now let us find out how dissatisfying and losing customers makes a much larger hole in our pipeline of customers. Research shows that one dissatisfied customer will talk negatively about you to an average of 12 potential customers. What more, some of these 12 potential customers could, in turn, talk to their friends and associates, an alarming situation for any business. Let us again take the example of the company with 100 customers that we have discussed earlier. We had assumed that on an average we lose 25% of our customers. As such, this company would lose 25 out of the 100 customers that it has. These 25 dissatisfied customers will talk negatively about you to 300 potential customers, that is 25 lost customers multiplied by 12. We have a huge business loss staring at us. Lost customers not only create a hole in the pipeline by deserting you, but also make the hole much bigger by taking, on an average, 12 of your potential customers who might have been convinced with your advertising campaign to buy from you. The above suggests to me that I should stop losing my existing customers and plug the hole in my pipeline. I realized that by retaining all my customers, I will continue to keep my existing 100 customers and achieve higher sales than the previous year. I also realized that by retaining customers, we can not only plug the hole in the pipeline, but also fill up the pipeline. How? Very simple. Research shows that every satisfied customer will speak well about you and your products to at least 3 of her friends, family, and co-workers. Once your customers are completely satisfied with what you offer them, they will advertise your products and services by talking positively about them. Let's bring in the example of the hypothetical company with 100 customers with which we have been working. Let us suppose we are keeping our 100 existing customers happy and satisfied. Based on the research results given above, they will promote us to 300 customers. These customers will be added to our pipeline of customers. Some of them will also flow out of the pipeline immediately as our customers. I don't know if you have realized or not, but by retaining customers, we have actually increased our sales. Lost customers make a hole in our pipeline, which makes achieving targets more and more difficult. Not only do dissatisfied customers escape from our pipeline, but they also take with them an average of 12 prospective customers, thereby making the hole in our pipeline much bigger. Now I realized that by retaining my customers, I will not only be able to plug the hole in my pipeline that dissatisfied and lost customers created, but I will also be able to fill the pipeline with the positive word of mouth recommendations of my satisfied customers. So if you want to achieve consistent higher sales, you just need to continuously keep taking actions to keep filling your pipeline of customers and focus on retaining customers. Also, needless to say, achieving targets will become automatic.